the Playmakers blog, and this episode of Shooting Lights Out is being brought to you by Liz. Get your official fan gear wear, the official Liz hat, and all other sports gear that you want with Liz.com. Also, it's being brought to you by Fanatics, where sports fans shop and get the latest deals on everything sportswear. And also by Paramount Plus. Stream live sports breaking news with Paramount Plus. Tis the season for streaming. Now, to your episode of Shooting Lights Out.
Sound like some Viking music, don't it?
Yeah, gotta get it out the mud, that's the only way to win. Who am I to point the finger like I never ever seen? Been through the ups and downs like the letter N. They don't let you through the door, better kick it again. Cause that's the only way to win. That's the only way to go. Gotta get it out the mud, gotta get it out the flow. Cause that's the only way to go, let's go.
Shooting Lights Out. Ladies and gentlemen, the Playmaker down there, Silence Hill with Shooting Lights Out. Now, for those of you who are watching on the YouTube channel, you're getting the live, you get not the live, but the video copy. If you listen to the audio on all streaming platforms, whether it's Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Pandora, whatever it is, thank you for tuning in on today's show. Today's show is going to be nice and good. We're going to go through Around the Hardwood. We got some news, some notes, some recaps to go over. I have a heat check for you that's in the NBA. I'm going to finish the show off with that. And I do have a Flagrant Foul to give out to a team that's very disturbing to see, to say the least. But without further ado, we finna go around the hardwood to start things. And going around the hardwood, we have breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. University of Texas men's basketball coach Chris Beers has been arrested for domestic violence charge. Now, I was stunned to hear this news come out, but it has been breaking news. It says here, Texas men's basketball coach Chris Beer was arrested Monday morning on a felony domestic violence charge. Beer, 49, is currently going through the booking process at the Travis County Jail, according to Kristen Dart, Senior Public Information Officer for the Travis County Sheriff's Office. Dart said he is in our custody. I can confirm he is the person who is in our booking process, close quote. Article continues to read on, says, Beer was arrested by police in Austin, Texas, and booked at 4:18 a.m. on a third-degree charge of assault of a family/household member, impeded breathing, circulation, or strangulation. Austin police told ESPN they received a disturbance hotshot call, and officers were dispatched to the 1900 block of Vista Lane shortly after midnight Monday. The Austin Police Department's website defines a hotshot call as incidents which are in progress or an immediate threat to life and/or public safety. These calls are dispatched immediately. Bear's attorney, Perry Minton, told Austin American Statesman that Beer is 100% innocent of these charges. Quote, he should have never been arrested. The complaints want him released immediately and all charges dismissed. It is truly inconceivable, close quote. Texas University came out with a statement that said, quote, the university is aware of the situation regarding Chris Beard. We are continuing to gather information and monitoring the legal process, close quote. This is coming off them having winning against Texas Tech. I mean, after them winning against winning their last game before they are hosting Rice tonight in tonight's game. So it's going to be interesting how that goes, especially with the new ranking who just came out not too long ago. that I will look at those a little later. But this is amazing. Actually, I take that back. Let's look at the rankings. Let's look at the new basketball rankings now, since we are talking about the Texas Longhorns. And currently, right now, the new rankings show that Purdue's number 1, Virginia number 2, UConn number 3, Alabama number 4, Houston 5, Tennessee 6, and Texas is ranked 7. Kansas 8, Arizona 9, Arkansas running out the top 10. So that's where we at right now for the ranking. That's the top 10. But the new rankings are out. You can go on any site as of right now, look at 11 to 25. But your top 10s, as I just stated, Purdue, Virginia, UConn, Alabama, Houston, Tennessee, Texas is at 7, Kansas, Arizona, and Arkansas. As we move on, yes, the Longhorns will be hosting 6 and 2 Rice at 8 p.m. on the Longhorn Network. Just see how that goes with Chris Bill. Will he be able to coach that game? Will he be suspended? Because the next game is not until after they play Rice. Like that next game is not until quite a while. So there's plenty of time between now and their next game to see what's going to happen with Chris Beers. Their next game is not until the 18th when they host the Stanford Cardinals in the Pac-12 coast-to-coast talent. So they have a game tonight against Rice that they don't play 6 days later until the 18th. So that gives them a good 5 to 6 days between games to figure everything out with Chris Beers and this domestic violence charge that's on him. Nevertheless, it's still breaking news and it's still crazy to see that this has happened. All right, moving on to our next topic. Brittany Griner is home. She was released Thursday morning from Russia. She's back in the States, down in, I believe, San Antonio at the moment. As you can see, the article, Women's Basketball World shares relief as Brittany Griner heads home. You know, it was a lot of different ways that people viewed this situation. She broke the law over in Russia. She got 9 years. She got 9 years of imprisonment time over there. Vladimir Putin used that as a pawn to get back what he wanted in return, which the U.S. finally gave in and sending over a arms dealer for Brittany Griner's release. But nevertheless, Brittany Griner is home. She is back where she is. Let me go to that article right now. Russia-free Brittany Griner in a dramatic high-level prison exchange that brings the WNBA star back to the United States after almost 10 years of detainment. The swap made at the time a heightened tension over the invasion of Ukraine achieved a top goal for President Joe Biden, but carried a heavy price and left behind Paul Wheeler in American jail for nearly 4 years in Russia. So as we continue on with this is going to be this story, this stuff between USA and Russia is not even no time soon. But Brittany Griner is home. She is back, and she did step on the court yesterday. Brittany Griner pulled a pair of black Chuck Taylor sneakers, Phoenix Suns shorts, and a T-shirt touting Title IX, and picked up a basketball Sunday for the first time in almost 10 months. Her first act was a dunk. Griner is still at Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio, where she was taken after her release from Russia last week with no immediate plans to leave. And despite a light workout, she says the 32-year-old Griner isn't ready to say when or if she plans to return to her WNBA career with the Phoenix Mercury. Griner has not spoken publicly since her return, but should issue a statement this week. So it has been a crazy 10 months for Brittany Griner, crazy 10 months overall. People have been following this story nonstop. To everybody who followed this story from CNN to ESPN to all the media outlets who following this story, I did a fabulous job. Brittany Griner is safe. Brittany Griner is home. The road to recovery has begun. We should see where it goes from here. How does she handle her platform going forward after what she has been through, and what good she will come out of this. So That's that. Moving on to our next topic. Sad news in the NBA. Paul Silas, three-time NBA champion, longtime coach, dies at 79. Uh, that came out, I believe, sometime yesterday. I want to say yesterday afternoon, I want to believe, uh, when the news broke that he died, as everybody was getting ready for their football. Article so basketball talk. Paul Silas have to be patient as a player. He waited 10 years before winning his first championship. As a coach, he waited 15 years for his second championship. At running a team as a father, he waited 20 years before seeing his son get a chance to lead a franchise. I've always tried to remain positive, Silas said in 2013. I think it usually worked out, close quote. Silas, who touched the game as a player, coach, and president of the National Basketball Players Association, has died. His family announced Sunday. Silas, whose son Stephen Silas, the coach of the Houston Rockets, was 79. Michael Jordan gave a quote when he found out the death of him, saying, quote, he combined the knowledge developed over nearly 40 years as an NBA player and coach with an innate understanding of how to mix discipline with his never-ending positivity. On and off the court, Paul's enthusiastic and engaging personality was accompanied by an advocate of for every occasion. He was one of the all-time great people in our game, and he will be missed. Close quote. That is from the GOAT, Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Silas' daughter, Paula Silas, God told the New York Times that her father died Saturday night of cardiac arrest. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver says we mourn the passing of former NBA All-Star and head coach Paul Silas. Paul's lasting contribute to the game are seen through the many players and coaches he inspired, including his son, Rockets head coach Stephen Silas. We send our deepest condolences to Paul's family. And we say the same thing here at the Playmakerz Pod for myself here at Shooting Lights Out. Our condolences to the Paul Silas family. There are many more tweets and stuff that went on about, but with Stephen Silas stepping away, of obvious reason, the Rockets did had to play a game yesterday, and they had to play it against a ferocious Milwaukee Bucks team. And as those of you who are watching on YouTube can see, that the Houston Rockets put out a monumental upset at home over the Milwaukee Bucks, 97-92. Jalen Green had a phenomenal game in that game. He outdid Giannis in that one. Chris Middleton did suffer an ankle injury. It believed to be an ankle sprain. But nevertheless, on the daylight, what took place Saturday night to Sunday, I give all the kudos to the Rockets on this one. Jalen Green scored 30 points, had 7 boards. Kevin Porter Jr. had 18 with 7 assists. As they outdo Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks to a good old win. Giannis didn't have a very good game, 16 points, 18 boards. Jrue Holiday led the way with 25 points with 8 boards and 8 assists. But it was a big win, a very big win for Jalen Green and the Houston Rockets despite what was going on. Assistant coach John Lucas filled in for Stephen Silas for that game. Lucas said after that game, quote, that's for coach. That one's for him. Speaking of Stephen Silas, knowing he was away with family, dealing with the death of his father. So it was a good win for the Rockets through this tough time for their head coach. All right. We did have our first ever Saturday night primetime game of the season this past Saturday. It was the finals rematch between the Boston Celtics and the Golden State Warriors down in San Francisco. And the Golden State Warriors, the Splash Brothers, were dominant. The Splash Brothers were dominant, combining for 66 points and took control of the Boston Celtics 123-107. Steph Curry, 32 points, 6 for 11 from 3 with 7 assists and 6 boards, but it was the Klay Thompson show. 34 points to lead the charge, 14 for 26 from the field, 4 for 11 from 3. He also had 5 boards. Jordan Poole joined the show too with 20 points as he got the start for the Golden State Warriors. And for the Boston Celtics, Jaylen Brown did everything he could, but he was not to be out. He was outdone by the Splash Brothers. Jaylen Brown had 31 points, 9 boards to lead the Celtics. Jason Tatum had probably one of his worst games this season, only scoring 18 points, 6 for 21 from the field, 2 for 9 from 3. He had 7 boards, but it was the Golden State's night, and they kept it, and it proved the Splash Brothers came out. The Splash Brothers in the business. So good work for them. But now to switch over to college basketball, they do some recap real quick. This past Saturday, we saw Penn State go into Illinois and knock out 17-ranked Illinois 74-59. As you can see, those who are watching on YouTube, Penn State didn't mess around. They came ready to play, ready to ball. Unfortunately for them, this is Illinois' 3rd loss this season. Their 2nd loss within 4 games. No, their 2nd loss in 3 games. That hurts them quite a bit. But hey, they took an L after beating Texas in the Jimmy B Classic days earlier. That's a big win for Penn State. Both teams go in 7-3. Continuing on, we go to a news that Larry Brown is officially stepping down from the coaching staff of Memphis due to health concerns. And due to health concerns, the Memphis Tigers went on to beat the 11th-ranked Auburn Tigers 82-73. That was back on Saturday as well for the holiday Thanksgiving. Big win for the Memphis Tigers and Penny Holloway. Bruce Pearl and the Auburn Tigers will have to regroup as they had been knocked from the ranks of the unbeaten. Kendrick Davis, 27 points to lead the way for the Memphis Tigers with 9 rebounds and 6 assists. A big win for the Memphis Tigers. Speaking of big win in the state of for the state of Alabama took down number 1 Houston. Down in Houston, 71-65. Alabama scoring 44 points in the second half, outscoring the Cougars by 10 in the second half to win it by 6. Big win for Nick Oates and the Crimson Tide, Kevin Sampkins, and the Cougars, who will have to look to bounce back after that upset loss that they suffered. And then we had a big one down in Las Vegas, 14th-ranked Indiana playing against 10th-ranked Arizona. Arizona controlled this game from start to finish, beating Indiana 89-75. Indiana didn't have a chance in this one. And that's surprising the same way when we saw Indiana do what they did to North Carolina in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. But Arizona is, folks, this could be a year the Arizona Wildcats could go all the way. This team is potent it out. It's like crazy. This team here is just unbelievable. Okay. Currently 8-1, 1-1 in Pac-12, but it's all good because this team, when this team gets rolling, as you see what they did to Indiana. Big win for the Wildcats in that one. We had to go, that was all Saturday. Then on Sunday, on last night, ladies and gentlemen, we had the Tennessee Volunteers playing against the Maryland Terrapins in the Basketball Hall of Fame Invitational. Rick Barnes has to feel good about this as 7th-ranked Tennessee took down 13th-ranked 56-53. Tennessee jumped out to a 17-point halftime lead. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, you can see it. Those of you who are listening, the audio version, Tennessee was up 34-17 at halftime. Maryland's comeback fell just short as they outscored the Volunteers 36-14. But they come out just short as the Volunteers survived by 3 in that game. Good win for the Volunteers, a much-needed win for them. You have the Nike Hoop Summit. We'll be featuring the women's game for the first time coming up. That should be good to do as we go to the women's side of the ledger now. And as you those of you who are watching on YouTube, you see the recap of the UConn Maryland game. Big shout out to the Maryland Terrapins taking down UConn. And 2 games without Miss Fudge for the Connecticut Huskies. Both came up with L's so far. So without Paige Beckers and Azim Fudd, the UConn ladies are starting to struggle now. They are starting to struggle. They lost the game. They lost the Jimmy V Women's Classic against Notre Dame, 60-74. Now they lost to the Maryland Terrapins, 78-85. That's a good win for Maryland. Aaliyah Edwards for UConn tried with 25 points, but Aubrey Myers led the Terrapins with 20 points. She also got help from Miller with 17, Sailors with 19. They got 13 off the bench from Alexander. So that's a good win for Maryland. UConn will look to bounce back on Saturday when they have to go up against the Florida State Seminoles in the Hall of Fame Women's Showcase, and that will not be an easy task because the Lady Seminoles are 10-1 on the season. They have been winning a lot. They went to Wisconsin and beat them. They have beaten Purdue. They have already beaten 2 Big Ten teams. UConn is coming up. They have losing to Maryland and Indiana. So it's gonna be interesting to see where this game goes up to from that point forward, and what's next for them. That's our. Speaking of ladies basketball, I got another one. Tennessee's Tamari Key out for the season with blood clot and lungs. Alexa Filipino gave this article back on the 8th. Thoughts and prayers are with Miss Keys that she does whatever she needs to do to get healthy and come back next season ready to play. You know, this is pretty much the same thing that Chris Bosh went through with the Miami Heat when he was playing. Reason why his career ended prematurely. They ended on the terms that he wanted to end it on, but nevertheless, he is still alive and doing well. So we pray for the same thing for Miss Keys, that she takes the rest of the season off, that she does all the treatment, does everything she needs to do to get herself back for next season and whatnot. And our final thing for Around the Hardwood, U.S. men's basketball to play World Cup games in Mainland. So they will be getting set to play that next year, the World Cup for the men's. I'm looking forward to this. The women's took care of business like they're supposed to. Now it'll be the men's turn to do what they need to do. Handle your business, get out there, don't play around, don't mess around, and do what you got to do. And mean what you say. So with that being said, we're going to take a break right here. When we come back, I got a Flagrant Foul to give out. We'll be back. The Playmakerz blog is proudly to announce that it is sponsored by Fanatics. Fanatics, where you can get all your official licensed sports gear, memorabilia, whether it's for the National Football League, the National Basketball Association, Major League Baseball, National Hockey League, or even International Soccer League, or even college sports. So rep your team, rep the hardware, get comfortable, because Fanatics is the way to go, where sports fans shop and official license everything. And welcome back to Shooting Lights Out. As you let's listen to that. As of today only, Fanatics is having a up to 65% off site wide using the promo code TINSEL, TINSEL, and that is TINSEL. Get up to 65% off site wide on fanatics.com. Order today, get it before Christmas. All right, now those of you who are looking and you see the cow signal on the screen, for those of you who are listening to the audio, my Flagrant Foul comes to us from the Pac-12 and is featuring the California Bears. Now, some of you might be saying, "Kyle, Bears, I mean, why? They suck. They're terrible." That's exactly why I'm doing the Flagrant Foul on the California Bears, because the California Golden Bears are 0-11 this season. 0-11. They are ranked dead last in the Pac-12. When I say dead last, I mean dead last. They haven't won a game. They are I believe they are the lone winless team of the major teams in the major conference. That doesn't sit well with me. Okay. When you are the lone team who has not won a game this season, and we are in the we going to the mid part of December, by the way. So basically a month and like 2 weeks in, you guys haven't won a single game. I'm trying to figure out what is going on with the Cowboys. You started off the season dropping every game. Well, you dropped every game. You lost to UC Davis by 10. That was to start the season, and that was at home. And then Kansas State comes to town, and they beat you by 9, 63-54. So you're 0-2. Okay. That's a bad start to the season. Okay, you're just having a bad start to the season. They'll get it. They're in the Pac-12. They're in the major conference. They'll figure it out. UC San Diego comes in, and they beat you 64-62. You're 0-3 now. 0-3. Okay. This is very interesting here. Then you play Southerner on November 18th, and Southerner beats you 74-66. What in tarnation is going on here? What is going on here? What is going on here? So I'm looking at these teams here, like UC Davis. What is UC Davis? UC Davis is currently 6-3 on the season. 6-3 on the season. Okay. Let's go to University of California, San Diego. Their record. They are 4-4 as of right now. 4-4. Now you got beat by Southern. Matter of fact, you was Southern's first win. That was 0-3 going into that game before they met y'all in California and they beat you. Now, what is Southern record since then? What is Southern overall record? Southern overall record right now is 4-5. Then you played Texas State, and Texas State beat you. At home, by the way, 59-55. Texas State's record right now is what? Out in the Sun Belt Conference. 6-4. And you get beat by TCU. We ain't gonna give no flack on now. It is TCU. TCU does have a pretty good basketball program out here in the Big 12. So we gonna let you go on that one. So you lost to Kansas State, who was 9-1, and you lost to TCU, who was 8-1. Okay, understandable. Then you lose to Clemson. Matter of fact, you lost it to TCU and Clemson came into the Emerald Coast Classic, and Clemson beat you pretty good. Beat you by 8. Clemson's having a pretty good season as of right now, if I remember correctly. Clemson right now is sitting in overall, they are 8-3, so they're having a good season. Okay. Your 2 losses came against good teams, okay? At TCU and home to Clemson, okay. But you lost to Texas State, Southern, UC San Diego, UC Davis. And then you open the Pac-12 matchup with the good old USC, and they put it on you because it is USC after all. 66-51. That's the month of November. That is 0-8 for the entire month of November. Now we in December. You played the 4th ranked Arizona Wildcats at Arizona. Yeah, we all know what's coming in that one. As you can see, 81-68. Okay, then you play Eastern Washington, and they beat you 50-48. You are 0-10 at this point, and you lost to Eastern Washington. And Eastern Washington, let's see what Eastern Washington is like. Eastern Washington, the Big Sky. They are literally 4-6. 4-6 as of right now. So if I'm looking at this correctly, we have a California team here who is part of the Pac-12, a major conference, which means that makes you a major team inside of a major conference. And you have lost to the Big West by way of UC Davis and UC San Diego. So you lost to two Big West teams, with one of them being above 500, one at 500. I'm just going through the game. Okay, you lost to two Big 12 teams in Kansas State and TCU. We forgive you on that one. You lost to Southerner, who is a Southwest Atlantic Coast team, a SWAC team at that. You lost to them. They are 4-5. So you lost to an HBCU school as well. Okay. That was part of the Emerald Coast to Coast Classic as well. And that was at home. You lost to Texas State in the Sun Belt. And girl, talk about TCU. You lost to Clemson, okay. You lost to USC, okay. And you lost to Eastern Washington. So you lost to two Big West schools, a SWAC school, a Sun Belt school, and you lost to a Big West school. If I'm correct, with East Washington. A Big Sky school. So two Big West schools with California, Davis, and California, San Diego. You lost to a SWAC school in Southerner. You lost to a Sun Belt school in Texas State, and you lost to a Big Sky school in East Washington. You lost to 5 mid-major programs already. 5 mid-major programs already. And of course, there's you lost to USC, you lost to Arizona, you lost to Clemson, TCU, and Kansas State. And then, by the way, you got beat by Butler 2 days ago, 82-58. But we know Butler. We understand Butler. Butler's a part of the A10, so Butler has a reputation of beating schools, so Big East schools. So yeah, we got you on that. You're 0-11. And if I'm looking at these scores correctly, I think y'all haven't reached 80 in none of these games. Let me see. You scored 65 in your first loss, 54, 62, 66, 55, 48, 59, 51, 68, 48, and 58. Y'all haven't reached 70 now one time this year. Y'all haven't reached 70 points one time this year. The closest you came to reaching 70, oh, by the way, Eastern Washington, you want to score 48 points within itself. The closest you have come to scoring 70 was against Southern when you scored 66, but it was one more point that you scored against UC Davis. Now, I'll take that back. You scored 68 against Arizona, but they dropped 81 on you. I'll take that back. But still, that is terrible. Now, I have to look at y'all and figure out what the hell's going on, because your next game, which is right on the screen right here, to finish the month of December, you're at Santa Clara. Santa Clara is 8-3 on the season, by the way. That should be interesting. Santa Clara they played UCF. They took an L on that one. They beat DePaul, BB school, so I can give them credit on that one. They beat Eastern Washington. Their second game of the season. Yeah, I don't see them. But yet, they have UC Irvine. No, they have Portland State on tomorrow. They have UC Irvine 2 days after that before they play you guys in California. And you telling me y'all can't win that game? And the fact that it got to the point where they have Santa Clara as a 79% favorite to win this game for the ESPN. That is alarming for a major program like Cal, who's in the Pac-12. That's how bad it is. Cal is a team that it is terrible. It's terrible. So I'm just give you a sneak peek of how terrible it is. But you have Santa Clara coming up. Then you have UT Arlington before you play Utah and Colorado. You guys are averaging 57.6 points per game. Your defense, you're giving up 67.3 a game, so you're getting blown out by 10 points a game. Okay. You only make 4 threes a game, which is like this one. The point difference is about 10. We can keep going now. This is just the beginning. You're only averaging 28 rebounds a game, which is terrible. You shooting 39% from the field. 39% from the field. It is abysmal. You average 8 to 9 assists a game. 8 to 9 assists a game. And you turn the ball over 13 times a game. You average more turnovers than you do assists. What the work? How is y'all still a part of the Pac-12 at this moment in time? The Pac-12 need to get rid of y'all for basketball purposes because this is the abysmal from the Pac-12. To have a team that is this terrible, to be in a major conference, y'all need to go down to the mid majors. Y'all need to figure out how to win again, okay? Because for some odd reason, you guys are just terrible. And I mean terrible. I mean, look at this. From 1996 all the way to 2017, you see the 3 coaches there: Ben Braun, Mike Montgomery, and Cuzo Martin. Y'all were competing. Do you see this? Y'all were competing. But Winking Jones in 2017 to Mark Fox, who's the current head coach right now, it's been abysmal. It's been abysmal. The last time y'all seen a postseason was in 2017. That was Martin's last year coaching, when you went to the NIT and you got beat in the first round. The last time you been to the tournament was in the early 2000s when you got upset by freaking Wyoming. Not Wyoming, Hawaii. In the first round. Between Jones and Fox, the California Golden Bears are 38-84. That is a 31 win percentage since 2017. It is very disgraceful to see such utter. I don't even have the word for it right now. I don't know what to call it. This is abysmal. Okay, this is atrocious. This is, oh my gosh, this is terrible. And 4+ years, y'all can only win 31% of your games. 31! And you're a major team in a major conference. What is this? My God, what is this? Please tell me what is this? So Cal, you guys are a major, and I mean major flagrant foul to the Pac-12, to the NCAA, and to the basketball fans out there in the West Coast. I'll be back. The Playmakerz bar is proudly to announce that it landed a partnership deal with Paramount Plus. Paramount Plus. Stream live sports from any device that you have, whether it is your computer, laptop, or even your cellular device. Catch breaking news live when it happens, and enjoy a mountain of entertainment from movies to shows to whatever you love doing. Paramount Plus. Plan starts at $4.99 a month, but right now you can get a free trial. Just hit that link below with the Playmakerz blog and start your free trial right now. Paramount Plus, Mountains of Entertainment. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Shooting Lights Out as we get into our final thing for today, and it's a heat check with the new Pelicans. And before I do, those of you just saw the ad for Paramount Plus. The Paramount Plus thing, they have a sale going on right now. Well, you can get 50% off a 1-year subscription with Paramount Plus. You use the winter code winter with your promo code winter50. That is winter WINTER 50. Use the promo code. You can get 50% off a 1-year subscription with Paramount Plus today. So go ahead and take advantage of that. Like I said, back to our heat check with the New Orleans Pelicans. My goodness. Who saw the New Orleans Pelicans doing what they have done this year so far this season? 2 months into the season, and the Pelicans have been balling their butts off. All right. Currently 18-8 in the Western Conference, holding the #1 spot. They are top 10 in every category you see on the screen, those of you who are watching on YouTube. They are third in points per game at 117.6. They are 8th in opponents per points per game at 110.6. That is a point differential of +7 Pelicans play. They are 7th in both rebounding and assists with 45.2 rebounds a game and 27 assists a game. This team is playing good ball. Zion Williamson is healthy. Brandon Ingram is doing his thing. CJ McCollum finally gets a full year with the Pelicans, and you see what these boys can do. They started off the season 500. You know, they started off the season beating the Brooklyn Nets in Brooklyn, winning that shot before suffering their first loss to the Jazz. When the Jazz was on the rise, and we had to do a heat check with the Jazz, but then with the Pelicans from the beginning of the season to just before my birthday, they were 5-5. Okay, so they didn't pay no attention. And then all of a sudden, it's been a turning point. They have been, 13-3 the rest of their way, including winning the last 7 games. Okay, as you can see on the screen, those of you who are watching on YouTube, 13-3 in the last 21 games. 13-3 in the last 16 games. But in the last 7 games, they have been all W's. Beating the Thunder, the Toronto Raptors, the Spurs, the Nuggets, the Detroit Pistons, and the Phoenix Suns in back-to-back games. Back-to-back games now. I'm going to get to both of those games in a minute. As we continue to look at Brandon Ingram, averaging 20.8 points per game with 5 rebounds and about 5 assists a game. So you're talking 21, 5, and 5 from Brandon Ingram. That's what you like to see. For CJ McCollum, you're talking 17.5 a game with 5 rebounds a game and about 6 assists a game. That's a good job from a shooting / point guard position. He can put the ball in the bucket, but he also can facilitate the offense and do his thing. But most people, when it comes to New Orleans Pelicans, was talking about this guy, Mr. Zion Williamson, who is healthy for once. He is averaging 25 points per game, 7 rebounds a game with 4 assists a game. That man's been on a mission. And by the way, Zion Williamson is my lights out player of the week. Just for this episode here, I haven't only done one other one that was Damian Lillard. But for this week, I think I can do one, and I think Zion Williamson deserves to be mentioned as the lights out player of the week because Zion Williamson has been on the tear. I will get to why he's the player of the week in a minute, but let's just look at what happened with the Phoenix Suns, by the way. As you can see here, on December 9th, the second of 3 meetings with the Phoenix Suns, because Phoenix won the first one. Matter of fact, let me give you the score of that one real quick. Let me go back to here and give you that score of the first meeting when they played, because that was part of the 5-5 streak that the Pelicans were on when they started the season. So pretty much you know that the Pelicans are on the 2-1 victory over the Suns right now. But their first meeting back in November, They lost to the back in October, should I say? Back in October, there will be a 111-124 loss in the desert up in Phoenix, Arizona. That game was back on October 28th. In that game, I don't think did Zion play that game. That's the question. I'm gonna see here. Zion did not play that game, but nevertheless, Mikal Bridges had 27 points to lead all scorers. He had 16 from Devin Booker, only 7 points from Chris Paul, but he wasn't needed in that one. But now you have back-to-back games. December 9th, the first one of two inside New Orleans Smoothie King Center. Zion Williamson goes off for 35 points, 76.5% from the field, and 7 rebounds. Zion Williamson was 13 for 17 from the field, for those of you who are looking what the numbers were. 13 for 17 from the field. And this dunk right here is the dunk that kind of sparked a little scuffle at the end of the game, because at the end of the game, he decided to do a windmill when the game was already in hand. And the Phoenix Suns took exception to that. But nevertheless, Devin Booker had a poor game, 14 points on 5 of 17 shooting. Chris Paul had 24 points with 8 boards and 7 assists. DeAndre Ayton with 25 and 14, but it wasn't enough because Zion Williamson had 35. CJ McCullough had 18 points with 7 boards and 8 assists. There was no Brandon Ingram in this game, but nevertheless, the Pelicans took it. How would the rematch go? Which took place yesterday, with the Suns not having Devin Booker due to a hamstring injury. So they were short of man, but DeAndre Ayton 28 points and 12 boards for the Suns. Mikal Bridges had 27. Chris Paul had a very porous game with 6 points, 3 for 10 shooting. He did have 11 rebounds. Nevertheless, no Brandon Ingram again for game 2. No difference. As the Pelicans won game 2, 129-124 in overtime. CJ McCullough, 29 points, 7 assists. Zion was another 35-point game. It was 66.7% from the field. He shot 14 for 21. He also went 66.7% from 3, because he shot 3 threes and hit 2 of them. So he went 2 for 3 from 3. 14 for 21 overall. He also had 8 boards in that one. And 2 games against the Suns, which he played. He didn't play the first meeting, against Law, but the 2 games he has played, the last 2, 70 points, 27 for 38 from the field. That equates to 71% shooting. And the 2 for 3 was from game 2. 15 boards, 7 assists, and he was a plus 46 in the plus minus category. He's playing well. He's playing good. That's why he is my lights out player of the week. I must say, in the last 5 games, for Zion Williamson has been amazing. He has dropped 159 points. That is 31.8 points per game. He has shot 66% from the field, going 56 out of 85 from the field with 46 rebounds, 24 assists, with a plus minus of plus 86 in the last 5 games. Zion Williamson and the Pelicans on this 7-game winning streak. Zion has been that guy to lead the Pelicans to these wins. With CJ McCullough playing, Brandon Ingram out for the time being, the Pelicans are rocking and rolling as the number 1 team in the race right now. Can they keep it up is the question, though. Can they keep it up is the question, because they got some games coming up. They got back-to-back games at Utah, starting tomorrow and then Thursday. Then they go to Phoenix on the 17th. I believe this is the final meeting between the 2 teams. This one back in the desert. So December 17th is the last meeting for them 2, and that game will be showed on NBA TV at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then after you play Phoenix for the final time, you have the Milwaukee Bucks coming in to Smoothie King Center to face off before the Spurs come in, before you take a trip to OKC, before you face off with the Indiana Pacers, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Philadelphia 76ers at home before you finish the year of 2022 out in Memphis against John Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies. So, can the streak continue? Because this one, you have the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 matchups coming up. This is the next 10 games. The next 10 games. Can the streak get to 17 and 0? Or will it end at 7? Because that's a Utah team who can score with anybody. And then you have Phoenix after you play Utah twice, then Milwaukee. So you have 4. Your next 4 games are really interesting games before you face a Spurs team who's reeling, an OKC team who's down at the bottom, before you face up with the Pacers who can score with anybody as well. A Timberwolves team who is coming back healthy, and a Philadelphia 76ers team who Joel Embiid is on a tear right now, dropping 50 points in their last game when they played the Charlotte Hornets when he dropped 50 and they beat them by 20. Before you play John Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies. But nevertheless, the New Orleans Pelicans are the heat check of the week. And doing so, thank you for tuning in. This has been Shooting Lights Out. I will catch
But you can't stop here. You can't stop now. You gotta keep going. Through all your trials and your tribulations, you gotta keep pushing. Now, finish your canvas.
Yeah, gotta get it out the mud, that's the only way to win. Who am I to point the finger like I never ever seen? Been through the ups and downs like the letter N. They don't let you through the door, better kick that again. Cause that's the only way to win. That's the only way to go. Gotta get it out the mud. Gotta get it out the floor. Cause that's the only way to go. Let's go.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. If you want to follow the podcast, you can follow it on all streaming platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and a whole lot more. This has been Shooting Lights Out.
Masterpiece.